Hello and welcome back to Inside F2. Joining us today, we have Trident Formula 2 driver, Bent Viscaal. Bent, thank you very much for joining us. How are you and where are you in the world right now?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm at home in the Netherlands now. So, back home.
Back home in between races. You've just said off to Baku. When are you off to Baku?
I'm off to Baku on Tuesday. So that will be my first time flying to Baku. So I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. And off the back of Monaco, we've just been chatting pre-show. Your first time in Monaco, how did you find the experience?
It was my first time on a street track in general, so it was quite a challenge to do it in Monaco with an F2 car. But it was really nice. I enjoyed it a lot, and it felt a lot quicker than a normal track, which makes it even more special. And I mean, it's just there are not many places like Monaco anyway in the world, so it was just amazing.
Yeah, special place. Let's go back to where it all began for you and where your motorsport journey kind of started. I believe you wanted to do motocross from a young age, but your mum said no because it was too dangerous.
Very good research. Very good research. Yes. Yeah, I think I said this to Alex as well on the podcast. But yeah, I wanted to do motocross when I was 3. I had a bike for 2 years, or even actually, I still own a bike, but I don't ride it anymore because it's too dangerous. But at 5 years old, yeah, my mother said that it was too dangerous. So then I went go-karting, and here we are.
How did you get into karting? Who was the kind of inspiration? Who wanted you to get into go-karting? Was that yourself or was that someone else?
No, actually, my father used to do supercars, the very fast cars on the normal racetrack. So he used to do that, and I mean, he bought me a go-kart for my 5th birthday. So from there on, it all started rolling. I was still very interested into football as well. So I was doing football and like karting next to each other, and motocross as well. So I was very busy. And yeah, at some point I realized I was a better driver than a football player. So that's when I switched.
It's ironic because you didn't do motocross because it was too dangerous, and now you're driving Formula 2 cars, which is equally as dangerous, right?
That went very well. That went very well.
And fast forward to Formula 3, you had 2 seasons in Formula 3, one with HWA, one with MP. What was the highlight of being in that category? Was it the win in Silverstone? Obviously that came down to a last lap battle with Larim Zendelli, didn't it? Tell us a little about that. I bet that had your heart pumping on the last lap, didn't it?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, the highlight for me was Budapest in the rain. I mean, of course, I got the penalty in the end, but to be that much faster than anybody else on track is just a very special feeling. So I would definitely say that's my highlight, apart from the last 2 or 3 laps. But no, I enjoyed that one the most.
And obviously, 2 races so far in Formula 2. How are you finding life as a Formula 2 driver, and how have you found the opening 2 rounds?
Very nice. I like life as a Formula 2 driver. It's not much different than a Formula 3 driver, to be honest, but it's really nice to drive the car. The first 2 rounds, I mean, they're pretty similar in terms of how the weekend went. Qualifying was just not our strongest session of the weekend, and that set us back for the rest of the weekend. But in general, the pace has been there, especially in the races. But I mean, Monaco, there's pretty much no place to overtake, so that was a big shame. And Bahrain was a similar story. We had a few issues, on race 1, which I didn't, that way I couldn't progress to the front. So in the end, we couldn't really show our potential there as well. So I would say the first 2 rounds have been a bit frustrating, but also very promising because we know the potential is there. And I think it's just a matter of time before before everything falls into place.
Yeah, absolutely. Just outside the points in Monaco, obviously. Is that the aim for this season, to be consistently battling for those points positions?
I mean, looking from where we come, I mean, obviously I'm a rookie. The team and I have been working since last year. Bahrain, we did half a day because then we had some problems with the car. And the steps we have made since that test are pretty big, and we keep on improving. But it's always hard to really, set expectations or whatever. But I feel like definitely points are possible, and probably top 5 finishes as well.
Okay, that's good. And how beneficial is the test? You know, you go testing, there's only a certain amount of days that you get. How beneficial is that? And does that kind of translate into, did you see those things you were working on in testing? Did you see that in Monaco?
Yeah, well, as I said, Monaco was very special because it was the first time on a street track and etc. etc. But of course, we have made a step with our complete car package, and yeah, it's very beneficial. Of course, if the testing goes well, you do a lot of laps and you test a lot of different things on the setup, and you work well together with all the engineers. You know, of course, that's put you and the whole team on a good sort of rhythm for the next races.
How you talk about the team aspect there? How important is that to get those extra hours with the team and kind of build that relationship and that dynamic?
I always believe it's very important to spend a lot of time with your team and also with your engineers and mechanics, of course, just in order to understand each other as good as possible. And then, of course, it will translate to the real track as well. So, yeah, the relationship is very important.
Yeah, good. And obviously, it's quite an even split, but you're one of 10 drivers in the field that you're not part of a driver academy at the moment. Is being part of an academy, is that something that you see as a benefit, or does it being independent, does that have its benefits as well?
I mean, it could be a benefit, of course. I mean, if you have a link to a Formula One team, it's always good to have. But on the other hand, being independent, you still have, you know, when things are going well, you still have an open sort of choice ahead of you. So I think there are advantages, and of course there are some disadvantages. But you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Is that something that you've is the aim to be in a driver academy, or is that not really something you think about? Do you just go racing?
Of course, there's always things going on, you know, on the behind the scenes, but there's nothing really that I think about. No, not
Just
really.
take it race by race.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And you're a proud Dutchman. We know how supportive
Yes.
the Orange Army are, obviously, of Dutch drivers. How much are you looking forward to them being back at circuits and supporting you? And how much of an impact does that have? Does that motivate you?
It's a shame that we don't race as Formula 2 in Zandvoort. It would have been very nice to race there, but I think ever since Verstappen has done very well, the sport has just picked up like crazy in the Netherlands, which is very nice to see. And you can see how supportive the fans are from the Netherlands. So it's always yeah. I'm looking very much forward to seeing everyone. You know, of course, we don't drive at the Red Bull Ring either, but if there are fans there again, like we saw in 2019, it's gonna be you know, it's just a very special thing to see. I don't think it's just a special thing for a Dutchman, but in general for like you know, the whole grandstand jumping around, and it's just a bit new to Formula One and motorsports in general, I think.
It's an unbelievable atmosphere, isn't it? When you saw the Formula 3, the Formula 2 calendar and the Formula 3 calendar, to be fair, and saw that obviously not racing at the Dutch Grand Prix, not racing in Austria, was you a little bit gutted? How disappointing was that?
I mean, I was disappointed about Zandvoort, but then Red Bull Ring, you know, it's anyway a track with 5 corners, which I don't really like. So you know, from the track point of view, I kind of didn't mind Red Bull Ring.
And the Dutch Grand Prix, would you have liked to race there?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that would have been very special.
It's a shame, because that would have been in front of the home fans, wouldn't it? For both you and for Richard Bashaw as well, obviously fellow Dutchman on the grid. So it would have been brilliant, wouldn't it? Your teammate Marino Sato, what's the relationship like with Marino? And does the relationship with your teammate kind of change to a more collaborative approach between the two of you if you're not battling for the championship, for example?
My relationship with Marino is very good. We work together in a very professional way, and we try to improve the car package in general. And yeah, until now, it's definitely not a sort of Hamilton Rosberg sort of rivalry, in terms of that we don't tell the truth or whatever. You know, we know that we need to work together and get to the front together. So for sure, the relationship is good.
How much do you work together? Is that something that you're speaking regularly, sharing data, or is that something that you keep to yourself, if you like?
No, I mean, we have so few laps in the car. In general, we have 6 testing days. We have not a lot of free practices, just 45 minutes each session. So everything you can sort of share and work together will, at the end, benefit you as well, because you will go forward as a team. And of course, then it's up to you to drive as fast as possible and be faster than your teammate. But it's a bit of a motorsport is always an interesting sort of dynamic where you need to work together with your team, but then also beat him, of course. But working together always works.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because you said the first person you want to beat is your teammate, but then you also have to work together to. So it's knowing where that line is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a fine line, yes.
And I asked this question to a few drivers recently, so I'm going to ask the same question to you. If you had to pick a driver, past or present, to be your teammate, it can be from any generation. Who would you pick and why?
I've never actually thought about that one, but it would be nice to have Jenson Button as a teammate. I think that was the guy that I've always been looking up to. And when I started watching Formula One, it was probably around 2009. So just for the sake of it, I would say Jenson Button, yes.
Looking ahead to Baku, then it's produced some crazy races over the years in Formula 2. What are your expectations going into the weekend? And do you think the big points are up for grabs? Maybe even a podium if there's a chaotic race?
Well, I watched a few races back, and it definitely didn't look like a sort of train like it looked like in Monaco. The long straight is very interesting, just as the safety car restarts can be a bit of a interesting one as well. But yeah, in general, I just need to improve qualifying and get to the front of the grid, and then see what happens from there on. And of course, I will be more experienced on a street track after Monaco, so I think that will also help a lot with the confidence.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And I believe it's your first visit to Baku as well. The team have been quite successful in the past. They've had points with Arjun Maini and Santino Ferrucci finishing 5th and 6th in the sprint race in 2018. How much do you rely on the data and the feedback from the team in terms of a setup, for races that you've never been before?
That's the only sort of feedback or like information I have, so I need to work as much as possible from that data of the past in order to prepare myself as well as possible for the first lap in free practice. And then from there on, we just need to develop and learn from the mistakes the team and in general the drivers have made and try to not make them again. And then just learn as much as possible.
How much does your approach change in any way for a street race, or is it exactly the same as for any other race?
No, I expected it to be worse, to be honest, a racetrack, but it's quite intuitive the way you drive. So no, I don't view it any other way as a normal race. No.
You don't kind of have that approach of I'm just going to try and stay on the road, keep out of the barriers, and see what.
For the first few laps in free practice, it would be nice not to end up like in Monaco, which was a bit of a shame. We lost a lot of running that way as well, so that's that didn't help out the quality performance as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And finally, Bent, it's been great to speak to you. So thank you very much for your time. Where can our fans find you on social media?
Thank you very much. Yeah, of course, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm trying to set up YouTube as well. Those are the main platforms I'm on.
From all of us here at Inside F2, thank you very much for joining us, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much for your time, and see you soon.